Hello, and in this video I have some very exciting tech news that Garmin has launched two new computer models, and I have them both here today to show you. So they've launched a Garmin Edge 1030 Plus and a Garmin Edge 130 Plus. Now those of you that are au fait with Garmin Edge's range will know that the 1030 is the flagship computer and the 130 is the entry-level computer. So this is an update to both the top end and the bottom end of Garmin's device range. So let's jump straight into it with the Garmin Edge 1030 Plus, this big model here. So I'm going to take it out the box. Now this is the first time I've done this, and you can see the new device here. So Garmin have made some hardware changes to this top end model. Most notably, it's now black instead of white, which makes it look a whole lot more like Garmin's other devices, including the Edge 830. For comparison's sake, here is the Edge 830, here is the Garmin 1030 Plus. It's still a much bigger device, even though they look far more similar now. So it keeps the 3.8-inch display from the previous model, but there have been some changes to how the screen works. So Garmin have taken the improved touchscreen of the Edge 830 model and put it into the 1030 model. This, it says, helps improve it in the rain and if you're wearing gloves. It also has the same processor as that Edge 830 model, which is twice as quick as the processor in the old 1030 model. Now, how does this affect your user experience? Well, it makes the device much quicker when you're touching the screen. It responds much faster to you flicking through pages or pulling down the menu. And it also will load your routes much faster. And if you plot a route on the device, it is able to calculate it that bit quicker. Garmin has removed the SD card slot from this model. Now, that might be a frustration to some users because it was typically used to store additional mapping on, whether that was OS maps or additional Garmin maps if you bought new regions. However, Garmin say they have offset this loss by increasing the internal storage of the device to 32 gigabytes, hoping that that will be enough for people to store any additional mapping that they might want. So that's what's new in terms of hardware on device. There are some things which remain the same. For example, the bumper buttons along the bottom remain, as do the charging ports on the bottom of the mount if you want to charge it from an additional battery pack. And finally, it's still charged via micro USB. There is no USB-C charging yet on these Garmin devices. So hardware aside, one of the new headline features of this device is a new setup process aimed at those that are potentially upgrading their devices from an old model. Now, as long as your old device, so mine is the Edge 830, is running the latest software, and once you sync your new device to Garmin Connect, it will port across all of your old data profiles from your last computer to your new one. Now, this is really cool, and it's something that I've been asking Garmin to do for ages in all of my previous reviews, so it's very exciting to see this update has been done. Because of this new update, Garmin says you can set up your new computer in under 3 minutes. So, challenge accepted. I'm going to give it a whirl. So I'm turning it on. I've got Bluetooth on my phone. Let's see what happens. So it's booting up. English. That is what I want. Pair. So it's found the device. In my settings, it's completing it. This must be thrilling to watch. That's done. Finish setup wizard in the mobile app. Next. Transfer your current sensors to your new Edge. Transfer current sensors. They've been sent across. Transfer your current activity profiles to your new Edge. Transfer activity profiles. This is very cool. Next. Almost done. Sync your device. Sync it now. Sending it across. Congratulations on your new device. Boom. Okay, really great stuff. There's all of my data screens have been sent across, ready to go. The only thing it hasn't done is put my temperature in degrees Celsius. I am in Fahrenheit. But this is how I have my screen set up on the Edge 830, and I know that that's how I love them. And that's really cool. What a great feature. Now, if you don't have an old device, so I'm obviously very lucky that I have my old Edge 830, When you set up your new device, it will port across the most used activity profiles from the whole of its Garmin Connect database. So Garmin is accessing that, and it will put those on your device as recommended activity profiles and data screen setups. You can obviously change them, but they just think that that's probably going to be the most common jumping off point. So a nice little feature there for people that have previous devices and have a new device as well. Pretty cool. I'll move on to some of the new features that it's done. And now I'm calling this a sort of gravel focus. This new computer is very focused on the new adventure riding scene that is of course booming absolutely everywhere. And it has some cool updates with this model that allows it to be used in a more versatile way. So for starters, Garmin have extended the base maps of this model to include both Europe and America as standard. So you don't need to pay extra for the American region if you're European, and if you're American, you don't need to pay extra for the mapping of Europe. That's one cool feature. Second cool feature is those maps are a lot more granular now. So they are much more specific and precise when it comes to riding off-road. Now, Garmin have also taken steps to change its turn-by-turn routing. And Garmin have done a really cool thing, recognizing that you might want to go off your current course that you've maybe plotted to ride. You can now pause your turn-by-turn notification, do whatever you want to do. So an example that they gave is that you might go down a road to get to a different cafe. I can see how this could be very useful in my gravel riding. So recently I plotted a massive gravel ride out of London, but I came across some trails I'd not ridden before, just on the suburbs, and I decided I would spend the rest of the day riding those trails because there were loads and loads of them. But my turn-by-turn navigation kept pinging me to make a U-turn, it kept trying to update me, telling me to carry on, but actually I wanted to stay there, but then use my navigation to get me home again. Cool new update from Garmin. You can pause that turn-by-turn navigation, do whatever you want to do, whether that's go somewhere else, ride these new trails, and then come back, and you can either restart the navigation, so it will reroute you back to your route wherever you're starting from again, or it can route you to a further point along your original route. So say you want to cut out a load of bits or shorten the ride, it will give you an option to now route you to a further point ahead. Garmin has also boosted the battery life of this. Now these are all Garmin's claims. I haven't had a chance yet to test this model. This is the first time I've taken it out of the box. So Garmin gradiate their battery life on low, medium and high usage. Now in a high usage scenario, Garmin said that's if you have sensors equipped, you're running mapping, your phone is attached Bluetooth to the device, you're receiving messages, and also you're like touching the screen, having a look at your different data. It can last 24 hours in a high usage situation, Garmin say. In a low use situation, that's with no sensors, no phone, just riding, this device will last 48 hours, according to Garmin. Now, Garmin recognise that that is a really important update to make for people that want to break into adventure riding or are adventure riding. They need a device that can really stand the test of time and have really heavy input use, but not leave them stranded by running out of battery. So trail forks are still baked into this device, which is really cool if you're a mountain biker. But if you come to a fork of a trail, this can now show you where each of those trails will take you. And also it can show you where you are situated in the network of trails around you to help you route yourself to the next few trails. Another nice little feature that will make this computer much more versatile. Now, Edge devices have historically been focused on pushing your performance, and this computer carries on being able to do that. It's got loads of training tabs, so I've just hit training. It's got training plans, workouts that you can create. It can give you training load. It has loads of cool features with which you can push your performance. Okay, so putting the 1030 Plus to one side, I'm now going to move on to the Edge 130 Plus. So the 130 was actually my all-time favorite device that Garmin have released. I thought that it was just simply superb because for a compact device this size, it just absolutely punches above its weight. It's seriously superb. Look at the size difference between the two of them. That's absolutely hilarious. And I'll put it alongside the Edge 830 for you to see as well. The biggest update to the 130 Plus for the road-going riders is that it now gets Climb Pro. Now, Climb Pro is Garmin software that tells you how many climbs you have coming up on your route, how hard they are, and gives you specific details of them when you arrive at them. It's quite a useful thing if you're riding somewhere new, it tells you what to expect. The other big update is that Garmin have given it an accelerometer. So having an accelerometer allows the 130 Plus to now do incident detection. So if you hit something very hard and come to a sudden stop, it will know about it and it will contact your emergency contact and tell them where you are and that you need help. The other thing that a 130 Plus does is it lets Garmin give it its mountain biking metrics. So this includes its jump metric, so that's hang time, and distance. Also gives you grit and flow. So grit is a metric of how difficult that trail was that you rode, and flow is a metric of how well you rode it. You and your friend could ride the same trail together and you'll get the same grit score, but you might get a different flow score because your friend hit the corners better, or you rode it faster and more cleanly than your friend. It allows you to compare and contrast. Garmin say its battery life is between 8 and 12 hours depending on your use case, so that's either low, medium or high, and previously we found that this little computer lasted a pretty long time. In terms of its shape and design, the computer is exactly the same as the last model. It retains the 1.8-inch display, it uses breadcrumb navigation and the same monochrome screen, it has the same bumper buttons and side buttons, and the USB charging port is on the back. Finally, in terms of their weight, the Garmin Edge 1030 Plus weighs 125 grams and the Garmin 130 Plus weighs 33 grams. Now, we'll be bringing you a review on each of these models in due course on our website. What would be really cool if you guys were to let us know what type of versus pieces you'd like to see, and we'll do our best to make you that content. Now, of course, if you have liked this video, please do give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the Cycling Weekly YouTube channel, and I'll be back in due course with more content on both of these devices. So I'll see you then. You ready for this? Listen to that.